Evening, everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to the Committee on Student Affairs and Special Programs. I'm pleased to welcome you, and everyone should have some form of electronic device in front of them. However, if you have your phone, please mute it. There are copies of the agenda and supporting documents on the table if you do not have paperless access. There are two action items, one informational and student disciplinary appeal before the committee. To get started, I will take a motion for the approval of the minutes of the September 9th meeting. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes. We also need approval of the minutes of the October 1st special executive session meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, that passes as well. We are now going to move on to the Vice Chancellor's report, and we are looking forward to that.
Great, thank you, Trustee Foster. I have a number of information items I'd like to share with the committee. First, I want to congratulate our re-elected USS Chair and Student Trustee, Joseph Awaji. He's not here, but if I could just say a few words. Certainly this past year has been a pleasure working with him. I think he brings, and his entire executive team bring a level of maturity and professionalism that I've enjoyed working with, whether it's discussing any variety of policy issues or budget. I think they've really positioned and have elevated the role and stature that students play in our shared governance process. So again, congratulations to Trustee Awaji and to the new executive team coming in. We've started a new mental health initiative.
If I might, Frank.
Please.
The other piece to that I'd like to add for the record is that last week there was a great affair with the students, and they had a transition of officers. It was very ably emceed by Donovan, who was here, and as they had the transition of leadership. I think that the point that you're making is very well founded. A number of the other student leaders from about, was it 5 years back, came to that particular event, and so it was just an honor to see the support and the legacy of student support there. I just wanted to say that for the record.
Well, thank you.
We have good history of student leadership that's continuing there.
And absolutely, and if I could just add one last thing, we're seeing a strengthening of it. In fact, this year with elections, I think we had record turnout, the highest we've seen, I think, in the past 2 decades, in terms of individual campus involvement showing up to engage in the election process. So another good sign that our students are being empowered and being supported across the system.
And if I could just add.
Please.
Also, I really appreciate that I'm seeing more of the culturing of new leadership by the present leadership. I think that's important, and I think it's great foresight, so kudos.
Great, thank you. A couple of other items. We've started, I think, what will be an exciting mental health initiative with the School of Public Health with Dean Elmohandes, the First Lady of the City, the Department of Health Mental Hygiene Commissioner, as well as the Mayor's Fund to explore what we're calling CUNY Mental Health digital platforms. What we're finding in the area of counseling services is this emergence of new technologies that are broadening access for students to access mental health support. It's fascinating that this generation is engaging in text messaging at a far higher level, and in particular in these unique kind of counseling services. And so we're going to explore, we've put together a 2-year proposal to the Mayor's Fund that hopefully will provide a series of resources of mental health services for students across CUNY. Our hope is to provide access to nearly 90,000 students through these initiatives. But I think this is the future of student services, specifically as it relates to counseling services. And so we're going to explore how students respond to some of these technologies and some of these services. This past summer, we partnered with the Clinton Family Foundation, and over the past several years, I think CUNY may have had one intern per year. Through this partnership, we're able to secure 10 internships this year. In fact, 16% of all interns with the Clinton Family Foundation were tied to CUNY. As you know, it's a very prestigious organization. We've now been approached because of how successful that initiative was to double the number. So we're hoping to provide 20 seats to our students this coming spring and summer. And so we have a campaign working with a number of departments throughout CUNY to meet that need.
The report that I heard in terms of CUNY's involvement with that effort was that it was an outstanding effort of getting a great group of students in a very short period of time to the foundation for their work, and so because of the excellent response and partnership, and also because of the excellent students that they have, is one of the reasons why they wanted to continue that relationship and increase it with City University.
Wonderful.
So kudos to you and your team for that work.
Yeah, the colleges responded very, very well. In a similar way, we've also started a partnership with Teach for America. They, as many of you know, are one of the leading non-for-profits supporting public education. What we've learned is over the last 3 years, we've seen a 300% increase in the number of CUNY students being selected for Teach for America. And what's interesting about this is that we're finding that the acceptance rates are very high. In fact, they're twice as high as students that come from Ivy League schools. Our students are being accepted to Teach for America at a 30% rate compared to the Ivy League students at a 15% rate. And so naturally you ask the question, or I did with the Teach for America executives, well, why are we selecting CUNY students at a much higher rate than other students? And they were very, very clear. They said, and as you know, they have extensive interviews with these applicants, but what they said is that CUNY students on an academic and intellectual level, there's no difference when you compare and you sit down and you talk with CUNY students over other students. But they said what is different is that CUNY students can articulate very clearly an incredible work ethic. They deeply understand social justice issues, and better than most students, they can articulate how they want to make a difference in this world. And so those were the reasons why they were selecting CUNY students at a higher rate than other students. So what we have decided to do is we're going to partner with them and promote this program. They have the capacity probably to double the number of students that they have now. They've jumped from about 18 students 3 years ago to just under 100 now. And they have the capacity for maybe as many as 200 students. And so we're going to work with them to promote the Teach for America partnership as part of this month, which is CUNY month. And so we're going to advertise broadly. This month we'll also be receiving an award from the American Cancer Society, the Gempson Award, for the work that we did a few years ago, the CUNY tobacco-free policy. And so they're going to be recognizing the university for that work. We've also, over the years, have developed our partnership with the New York Blood Center, one of the organizations that promote blood drives all over the city. And this year we had record numbers again, over 5,700 pints of blood, 5,731 to be exact. If you keep in mind, for every pint of blood, you save 3 lives. Through the efforts of our students on the campuses, we've saved well over 17,000 lives, and it continues to go up. It was a 15% increase this year over last year's numbers. As a way to promote a kind of a healthy competition, we created a Vice Chancellor's Cup to promote, blood drives. Last year it was Hunter. This year it will be a Borough Manhattan Community College. They had a 74% increase in the number of blood units they've collected this year, over 800 pints, just that institution alone. But it's a great initiative, and again, we're one of the largest providers of blood of any agency in New York City, and in the summer months, we are the largest provider of blood to New York City. in addition to the number of pints of blood, the diversity of blood that we make available throughout, and particularly rare types of blood in New York City, they look to CUNY to provide that. We had a very successful 10th annual BMI conference, increasing Black and Latino student engagement and success in higher education. Yes?
We were just wondering, we didn't know that. Are we recognized for that anywhere?
I never heard
that's
that fact.
huge.
Yeah, they recognize us every year at their
Who's
annual
they?
gala,
Who's
New
that?
York Blood,
The blood.
New York Blood Center.
We should write that in some of our remarks.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good.
Keeping this.
But again, the campuses, the colleges doing some outstanding work, truly saving lives
Yeah.
in the city.
He is the lifeblood of New York.
That's right. That's right. There's so many.
Unintended but true.
Yes, exactly.
As I was saying, we had a very successful 10th annual BMI conference, increasing Black and Latino engagement success in higher education. Over 1,000 participants in this program at John Jay on October 16th. Some wonderful speakers, really the experts in the country as it relates to Black student and Latino student success, retention, and improving graduation rates. John Jay College, I'd like to give a shout out to them. They launched just this past week their new wellness center, which they'll be the first senior college to open up a single stop program on their campus college. As many of you know, single stop provides assistance for students with food assistance, tax preparation, legal financial counseling. This year, we will allocate about $40 million in additional resources and support for students across our single-stop programs at CUNY. We also, an exciting announcement from the Department of Education, we received a $1.75 million 5-year U.S. Department of Education TEPSID grant. And this is going to allow us to provide better support for neurodiverse learners, and especially those with intellectual disabilities, at 5 of our colleges for the next 5 years. And so we're going to be working very closely with BMCC, Queens College, Kingsborough, CSI, and OSTOS to provide additional support for their neurodiverse and students along the autism spectrum. And then, of course, it's championship season with our athletics. I feel bad I can't say that about the Mets this time. But we had our women's tennis champions, which are this year the Baruch women have been crowned the tennis champions. Men's and women's cross country, College of Staten Island, the men were the champions, and the Hunter women were the cross country champions. Women's volleyball finals will be this week, the 6th at Hunter College. And the women's volleyball champions in the community college were Queensborough. We have men's and women's soccer finals on the 7th at Brooklyn College this Saturday, and it will be between CCNY and Staten Island. And then the women's, they still have to do their quarterfinals, but it will be either Lehman College and John Jay, the winner of that game, versus Brooklyn College and the College of Staten Island. And whichever winners of those 2 games will meet for the final. And that concludes my report.
Did you mention the Service Corps? The Service Corps event?
I did not.
Well, when it was.
No,
That was
I-
also an excellent show of the excitement that our students have for giving back to the community. And how many, I don't forget how many campuses it's on, something like 8 or 9 or something.
And they're looking to grow it to
Yeah.
right about 1,000
Yeah.
students now this next year. And it's in the budget request as well for
Yeah.
additional funding to grow it even more.
Yeah.
Now, very exciting program.
Outstanding. We're doing some great work with the students. The students have great stuff. Are there any questions for the report?
I will be meeting February 3rd, I think, with the Faculty Senate to share a little bit more about what we're doing in student affairs.
We'll be particularly interested to hear about the mental health initiative and also assistance for neurodiverse learners. That sounds like a very, very exciting set of initiatives.
Wonderful. Okay, well, as I mentioned, we do have a student hearing, so this committee will now go into executive session to consider a student disciplinary appeal. Because the college's disciplinary hearings in these cases are not open to the public, this session will be closed to the public as well. May I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, that passes. If all of our guests could please exit, we will now go into executive session.
I believe we can stay, yes?